Rimuru has just created the strongest dungeon in all of anime, where not even a saint at the scale of Hinata, who even gave Rimuru an L, like, she can't even beat it. Because you have monsters lurking in there which even true dragons and primordial colors like Diablo struggle against. But the most broken part about all of it is that accidentally, bro also developed a super efficient training ground for his entire army, where people can infinitely go 100% against each other without the worry of death due to Remiris, who is an entity so powerful that in her full adult form, her strength is in the category of the primal angels or even Guy Crimson. We only get a glimpse of it with the labyrinth she creates for Rimuru. This is a giant underground tower that is within Rimuru and Remiris' control. It is home to not only some of the strongest in Tensura, but is also an incredible economic juggernaut for the nation of Tempest, which in the future will allow Rimuru to probably become a trillionaire. But how was a place like this just spawned in? Like, it took Remiris only 100 hours to develop it all, okay? Well, it all has to do with the former Spirit Queen, where she was originally a super OP creature serving as a guide for heroes like Leon Cronwell and maintaining dominion over all spirits. She was so powerful that she even helped quell Milim's anger during her rampage 2,000 years ago, ending the 7-day-long fight between Milim and Guy Crimson by absorbing the dark anger within her. However, she kind of fumbled the bag, as Remiris was exposed to evil and dark auras, forcing her into a childlike body and an eternal cycle of reincarnation. In her child form, she's an idiot as opposed to her original calm and benevolent self. So yeah, she went from basically a god chosen by Veldanava to a literal 2-year-old who likes cookies. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like some cookies too, but this is a generational fall off. So since Remiris sucks so much, she naturally gets jealous after learning about Milim's new BFF Rimuru, and so she decides to loiter around Tempest to be closer to all the fun. It was here when Rimuru had the perfect idea to further deepen the bonds between Remiris' territory and his own nation, creating an insane tourist attraction. A 100-floor dungeon for adventurers to explore and earn rewards from, with powerful boss monsters awaiting every 10 floors, all concluding with an epic battle against Veldora as the final boss. This is possible due to Remiris' intrinsic skill, Small World, which allows the user to create a near endless labyrinth of isolated space tailored to their liking. This space is especially dangerous because it's near impossible to break out of. For example, in the latest volume, Insect Lord Zolanis tries to break the dungeon, and this guy is on the same level as the true dragons or Milim. However, even his tremor couldn't break Remiris' power. What's even scarier is how Small World grants its user absolute near infinite power. Now, if we're talking politics on paper, this dungeon is ruled by both Remiris and Rimuru, a special arena under the administration of a joint sovereignty. But to say Remiris is strong inside this dominion would be an understatement. She's practically a god. And Rimuru kinda is just like, yo, Remiris, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? So even Rimuru is under her dominion inside here. She's able to create pretty much any object, structure, terrain she wants, also having the ability to reshape floors and switch their orders. While life can't just be created inside Small World, it can be preserved. What this means is that if a monster inside the dungeon dies, Remiris can just respawn it with the snap of her finger. She even created an item to do this process automatically, but better yet, she's able to program floors to resurrect monsters on the spot without special items or the user's awareness. So yeah, this makes Remiris not only super strong, but her subordinates immortal. This goes for Veldora too, while he's in the dungeon, making him practically unbeatable. When it comes to people themselves, they need to consent to enter the dungeon. It's absolutely required besides on rare occasions. Like, Remiris can't just come up to a guy sleeping and go, boom, welcome to my dungeon, bitch. Consent is required, even if minimal. Like I said, Remiris can sometimes force somebody into the dungeon, but it requires extreme effort and places great strain on her body. And very young children who haven't really developed their sense yet are exempt from this. However, once she enters her true adult form, I'm pretty sure she can will people into her dungeon if her hockey is stronger than theirs, of course. Rimuru, being Rimuru though, saw this super OP ability and decided to use it for his own economic gain. You see, the dungeon has so many uses for Tempest. First of all, you obviously have to pay to get in, and everyone likes money, like me, so go buy some gamer subs with code ABD for 10% off. Secondly, there is an incentive for adventurers, as coins, potions, and equipment made by Kurobe is spread throughout the dungeon via treasure chests and being swallowed up by monsters, leading to participants gaining rare item drops. This works in Rimiru's favor, as it helps in supplying more magic crystals and monster parts to the Tempest market. The dungeon is also streamed outside to the visitors, leading people all over the world to come and view the exciting battles that await inside. Remember, Rimiru's goal was to never become ruler of the world. All he wants to do is create a fun nation where he can eat noodles and read manga, so creating something like the dungeon is completely in character. The dungeon also works in the case of emergencies. Take the Eastern Empire's invasion of Tempest, for example. During that crisis, everyone was able to take refuge in the labyrinth, including the entire physical city of Tempest.
No way!
This not only gives them the best protection, but also forces the invaders to enter a domain where Rimuru has the upper hand entirely. Just to put things into perspective, when Caligulio's Eastern Empire army of nearly 800,000 entered the dungeon, they all got clapped because Remiris can decide to keep reviving her people while the Eastern Empire forces don't. But I think we've beaten around the bush for too long. Let's talk about how you can beat this entire dungeon and become a billionaire yourself. I think it's pretty clear by now that the dungeon isn't just your average run-of-the-mill tourist attraction, as once you enter, you're going to be cornered constantly by monsters due to Veldora's aura, leading to magic Q concentration, increasing monster spawns. But fear not, after paying the entry fee, several exclusive items are sold at the entrance to aid challengers. The first is a resurrection bracelet, which allows any death inside to be negated entirely, sending users back to the surface with all pain and fatal wounds healed. This is given to a person for free the first time. The second item someone can purchase is a return whistle, which returns the user outside the dungeon instantly, kind of like an escape rope from Pokemon. And finally, a challenger can also get a recording crystal, which records a certain area, which allows them to instantly spawn back at that spot upon their next entry, basically setting a checkpoint. So now that we have entered the dungeon, let's start figuring out how to defeat each floor. Like I said earlier, this dungeon has 100 floors, with floor bosses positioned to go though, because before each big boss, there is an option to leave and go back to spawn, and every 5 floors is a monster-free zone. But this was eventually scrapped in favor of a staircase with limited access to floor 95, where the people can get food, beds, and other luxuries, as well as sell their items.